Alright guys, here we are back on the runway at Toulouse in the A300-600 by IniBuilds. This is video number 4 in a 5-part series. This is stream of consciousness, guys. It's only my 3rd flight in the airplane. I do have 5,000 hours in real life, albeit last time I flew was 1997 for American Airlines. The Gray Ghost, as we called it back then, because it was painted all gray paint, where all the other American Airlines planes were polished aluminum. They painted it in all gray because of the composite on the tail and a couple other places, composite materials that made it look kind of funny, kind of a mixed paint scheme. So they painted it all gray. We're the only fleet that was painted all gray. Of course, American Airlines later went to kind of an all gray paint job. But we had these from, we had 35 of them, as I mentioned in my first 3 videos. It's only my 3rd flight in it. Since coming back, I've been working on the TFDI MD-11 project as quality assurance for a few months, neglecting my guys, my channel. Please join our channel. Please subscribe, like the videos, and please come to our Discord and participate. We really could use the participation. I think as of this morning, we had like 1,510 people, which was kind of a stagnant because of my TFDI experience. Feel bad I haven't been helping out on producing any videos. But after that, I'm going to the PMDG 777 testing program. So, you know, I'm going to be busy. So it's raining here. Let's get out of here. I'm scared of the rain. I'll tell you some stories. I did tell a story last trip about ingesting a bird at Caracas. That wasn't good. With the worst captain with American Airlines until I upgraded. We took it and we came in and got real low with a shelled engine and not good. But you can watch the other videos to figure that one out. Let's put on the wiper over here. FO can do their own thing over there. Missing a few drops. I have learned so much about development having worked on the TFDI project, how difficult it is. They're developing for Microsoft Flight Simulator and P3D simultaneously. IniBuilds, great job here. Just flown it a couple of times. Having been over there on the development side, tremendous. That TFDI MD-11 is going to be awesome too. Big long-range freighter that we need in Microsoft Flight Simulator. This is, of course, a medium-range airplane. I love this airplane. It was my first love with the airline. I was checked out of to Toulouse, became kind of the guru on it, and never looked back. Really great airplane. All right, let's get the parking brake off. Down here. It's off. Back inside. 40%. There it goes. I'm going to calibrate my throttles, I think. We'll use the TFDI, my goodness. We're going to use the IniBuilds toga switch. Remember, guys, I'm not an expert because even though I have all these hours, have not been flying this thing very much. It's going to go up there or what? Very slowly. Come on, Big Mama. What are you doing? World's slowest acceleration. That ain't right. Smooth though, huh? Let's do it again. There we go. I don't know. Finally. Try to keep it on center line. Yeah, I don't know about this, guys. It's 80 knots, 100 knots. It's really taken a long time to get up there. 153 is V1, 163 is rotate. That N1 is correct, 92.9, and it's saying 93.5, that's fine. It's close there for a minute, wasn't it? Started off about 12 degrees nose high. Positive brake gear up. Right in the command bars. Nice smooth command bars. I like it. Very nice. I have it programmed for NADP European type climb with 1500 power reduction, which I think is 2000 feet. There's 2000. I'll go to auto on the thrust. There it goes. Lower the nose to 10 as the power comes back to climb power. There's flapper track speed. Flaps up over here. I'm gonna go 10 degrees nose high for that. Here's our slat speed there. Gauge. Leaving maneuvers there. Let's see if we get this thing into profile. And climb. Autopilot number one is on. There we go. Turn up the wipers, right? Or we overspeed those. Now the auto brakes are down. The auto spoilers, auto brakes are disarmed. And we'll see how it does. All right, I've got my handy dandy checklist, as you know from the other flights. After takeoff, positive re-gear up, the autopilot is required, auto brake to firm off, thruster panel to auto, we did that, flaps are up, gears off. Now we gotta go back and turn the gear handle off. That's interesting, huh? There's 7, but we're going to keep going up to 28. There we go. I'm trying to get this gear handle to go. That doesn't want to go. We'll try it from this angle. It's a little twirl. There it is, neutral. It's the wheel. Very cool. All right, now I learned that. That proves how new I am on this airplane. All right, so we're climbing up on a 9. We're in nav and profile on the climb. And going through the after takeoff, altimeter is standard, and transition altitude was 5. So we can go to transition. Standard. (1013). We're in Europe, right? Yeah, 1013, and they need to go standard over there. I got to fix that, right? They're at 11, accelerating, going up to climb speed of 320. I can go to flight plan map here. So how are we doing here? All right, so after takeoff, gears off now. Ground spoilers are disarmed. Ignition mode, we can go off. Off. And landing lights out of 10,000. You can turn those off. Wing lights are off. Nav logo, will leave those there. Strobes are on, beacons on those. We can turn that off. All right, and that's pretty much it. Passing 10,000, we did that, and the seatbelt sign is required. We'd have to make a PA if we wanted to let them up. We'll just let them up for now. All right, so after takeoff, checklist is complete. Let's take a look. Climbing on out. Little story time, how about that? Then we'll pause it for a little while. So, yeah, took the bird in Caracas after V1. Captain said duck as we approached the bird. Giant chicken hawk, 6-foot wingspan, shelled the #1 engine. By the time I looked up, I didn't duck, he did. By the time I looked up, we were past V1, but I said abort because it was so loud, the airplane shook. To his credit, he kept going because we're past V1. Kept the engine running because we're pretty heavy going from JFK, from Caracas to JFK. Full load of cargo, full load of people. Air crash, shaking, couldn't even see the engine instruments. We got up to engine out, acceleration altitude. We decided to keep the engine running, thank God. We brought the throttle back until the vibration subsided. We had the vibration indicated on the engine. It was up well off the charts. I can't remember what it was, but it was a 9.9 or some ridiculous thing on #1 over here. Kept it running at idle. It still was vibrating. Talked to the flight attendants. Cleared an emergency. Came around. It was VFR. Cleared a million. I already told the story over in the other video. if you look at Caracas, there's about a 10-mile final. The ILS was out of service, so he descended down. I said, "Oh, you can stay up here. It's VFR." Descended down to MDA. I was right on this one. Dove down. We were 8 miles out or so at MDA. We had the heavyweight. We don't have a dump capability in this aircraft. We had to bring the throttle up to on the bad engine just to maintain our altitude. Rattled in, shook the crap out of the airplanes, terrified the people. He came in, planted the landing, not bad landing. We went to the hotel, spent 4 days till we waited for an engine, sent the flight attendants, people home. People thought he was a hero. All the captain reminded me of, he was a pretty heavy drinker. At the 4 days at the pool, there were Virgin Atlantic flight attendants there, so that was a positive. All that he reminded me was that I said abort after V1. And he's right, but the rest was on him or on us. So anyway, got a new engine, came back out. We flew this thing a lot to the Caribbean, a little bit of domestic down to Miami and up to Chicago, but mostly Caribbean. And for a few years we did Europe, London, only London. Airplane that range on this is 3,500 miles. We were always limited. As I mentioned in some of the other videos, that is one stiff wing right there. Airbus now has perfected the wing. This airplane was very wing limited. Had these big CFS, whoops, that's because I have the, that selected, sorry about that guys. We have the CF6-80s, which can take, engine limited could go all the way up to 37, but the wing at this airplane at heavyweights going to London, we'd have to cross it around 31,000 feet or 32,000 feet coming the other way. Back then they didn't have the RBSM. And so you're always kind of in the weather when no one else was. And we were kind of 7.8, 7.9 airplane. Sometimes we cross at 8.0 just to get a clearance. But it was not the right airplane to be taken to London. But they configured the airplane, went from 272 seats down to 190. Beautiful cabin that they configured it for Europe. So the business people really liked it. They liked it a lot. It just was a little bit slow and a little bit low. But I loved it. We'd go to the pub, meet all the crews. We had, at one time, 15 or 16 crews laying over at London at the same time. At the same pub, we'd go down there, meet for dinner. It was always someplace, somebody to go get dinner with. Very nice, very social, wonderful times. A lot of good memories flying this airplane. The Airbus was a very small community. We only had 35 of them. We leased 25, got a great deal from Boeing. And then we bought 10 more. We liked them so much. Could carry a ton of cargo, which is why they still fly for DHL, FedEx, UPS. Great cargo airplane, big wide cabin, carry a ton, little bit limited on the range, medium range airplane, 3,500 miles. But it was great for cargo. Caribbean, we moved a lot. San Juan raised all their landing fees, and as a result, we had to start overflying Puerto Rico. At one time, as I mentioned in the other video, we had 8 or 9 Airbuses lined up at San Juan at any given time. It was amazing, all those wide bodies. Going to the Caribbean, a little bit of South America like Trinidad and Tobago. We also flew a lot to Central America in this thing. It's doing a nice job. We're climbing up to 28 and making our turn, staying in nav. Yeah, having been on the TFDI development process as a quality assurance, not the development team, I gained a real appreciation for the smoothness of the airplane. IniBuilds has done a nice job with this airplane. I'll be right back. I'm going to pause it and take a look at a couple other things. So make our climb out, we're going to be leveling off at 28, profile climb, nav, everything's going well. Yeah, this airplane, very small cadre in New York, so we're all very close. To this day, the Airbus community, I left it pretty early, went over to the Super 80 and then the 76, 75, but I was one of the original cadre. It's kind of the guru on it, having gone to Toulouse for the training and been out right there at the beginning. But they still get together, the group of Airbus pilots in New York. Very, very close community. I've lost kind of touch with them. I'm friends with a lot of them. I don't go to a lot of the activities, but it was kind of that kind of community in New York. It sort of was the bastard stepchild to the 7.6 community. 7.6, 7.5, they were flying to all these destinations. They had these airplanes that could rip up to 37,000 feet. And this airplane had all the magic on it. It was actually higher tech than both those airplanes, but it really didn't have the performance that the 76, 75 have. And guys kind of out of ignorance look down their noses at the Airbus community. So the Airbus community in New York kind of had a chip on their shoulder. Now, of course, Airbus is with the A320, A330, A340, A380, A350, and on, is no longer looked at like that. But back then it was Boeing or nothing. McDonnell Douglas was bought out by Boeing shortly thereafter when the MD-11 kind of tanked. Boeing bought them out, and it was Airbus and Boeing, and the old saying, if it ain't Boeing, I ain't going. And I was on the Airbus at the time, and I'll tell you, I had a chip on my shoulder. I love this airplane. I love the whole philosophy of it. I love the human factors side of it compared to the 7.6. It did not have the wing. That's it. It had the same engines, obviously. They all came from GE or Pratt & Whitney or Rolls-Royce, but they did not have the wing. And Airbus, to be honest, did not have their act together on the wing. They do now. And they make a great airplane. That A350 is absolutely gorgeous. That's a beast. A320, we have the 19s, 20s, 21s. And we're going to have the latest versions of Flight in Close Europe. The newer generation of Airbus, of course, I have no time on them at all, other than a little bit of the sim. But they certainly, Airbus has come all the way up to join, if not surpass Boeing. I'm still a Boeing guy, though, guys. I still am a Boeing guy. But my first love was the A300-600 out in Toulouse. But that was an interesting thing back then. A little bit of competition. The flight attendants would even make fun of it. It had kind of a small galley. The cabin was kind of chintzy compared to the Boeing galley cabins. A lot of plastic, a lot of write-ups. Called it the overtime machine. This thing never was late, always on time. Engines, avionics worked great. But it would come into the hangar at night, as I mentioned in the previous videos, with a lot of write-ups. Mostly the cabin, the entertainment system that worked, the seat broke, and the trim fell off, things like that. Airplane itself, pilot stuff. But the flight attendants would come up, they call it a quality assurance program. They'd come up with a list of write-up, and I'm not kidding, 10, 12, 15 items for the overnight. So the maintenance guys loved it. They called it the overtime machine. And the Boeing pilots called it the gray ghost, because it was painted gray. Because we didn't have all aluminum because we had composites. Now, of course, all the airplanes are composites. So Airbus was ahead of the Boeing. Now the Boeings are completely composite. You sand that thing down, it's all composite material. So the days of the shiny aluminum American Airlines paint job are over. Hence the rebranding that occurred. All right, we'll pause it there. Get ready for our descent. All right, why don't we get set up for the descent and arrival. So we're going into Paris, Charles de Gaulle, runway 9 left. We're going to break this up after the start as we get down around 10,000 feet or down even lower. And the last segment will be approach and landing. But we've been cleared. Something unique to Paris. We've been cleared onto the Kepler 9 X-ray is what we're going to be flying. And here's our routing. Nurki, Banix at max 300 between 17 and 18. 300 between 17 and 18. But if we look at the flight plan and go down a little further, down to Banix, that's the only altitude restriction, by the way. It didn't put anything in there. Banix at 11. So let's go vertical revision at or above 17. At or below, at or above 18 rather. At or below 17. And what were the knots on that? I think it was, well, that's wrong. Let's just do at 17. It should have been the other way around, right, guys? And then on the arrival, it also said, max 300 knots. So we'll just do 280 at Banix. We'll put that in the box. 280. remember, I am new at this. 250-11, 250-10, that looks good. Now Bannock's 280 and 17. So that's what it'll do. Take a look at that. Come back over here. That was the only restriction. Romgo was below 24. Let's take a look at that. Romgo. Below 24. So that was in there. The only one we were missing was the Bannock. And we put in, it was between 17 and 18. 300 or less, so we put in 280 at 17. So that's good. And then we're going to do the approach. And something unique is we have to do the initial approach, which is something unique to Paris. Coming in, Bannock's, and the initial approach is right there. And then we got to go. We've got that already programmed. And then 9 left. Bannock's initial approach. It's right there. We already programmed it, so that's the arrival. That's the initial approach. And then we come down here, and we got to get radar vectors to final. This does not auto tune. 109, 35, and 084. 109, 35. And 084. Sorry guys, I'm still learning this airplane. Zero 084. 95084. And we have a decision height of 200. Well, we're going to go here at decision height. And just put in 200 feet. All right, so we're going to fly the ILS Paris to 09 left. We have the Bannock's transition in there for the initial approach, transition up to Kepler 9 X-ray. 109.5, 035, 084, 4,000. And decision height is 200 feet, which is 578, 3,200 min sector. This approach is in the box, and it's climbed straight ahead to 4,000, P68, and then 578 decision. We've got Mausers, we've got high intensity runway lighting system, Pappies on the left, and for the runway itself, we are going to do ILS 9 left, right away over here. 8,800 feet of runway. We'll go medium on the auto brakes. Probably clear at Zulu 6. Hold short of the inboard. Then we got to make our way all the way over here to this will be two ground frequencies. Clearwood Tower, ground here, ground, and somewhere around the Concord display, which is right about in here. We'll change over the other ground free. Come all the way in. Enter at Tango Alpha 1 and park over here in Terminal 2. There used to be a spaceship over here. It's gone now. Yeah. Hey, I went out. By the way, this is kind of cool. Good story for you. I went here my final trip back on September 6th with my wife. It's posted on my website if you want to go look at it on Father Time 1958. We had a great time. I took 2 of my good friends with me, FO and FB. And I treated the crew to dinner and then drinks on the top of the Hilton Hotel overlooking the Eiffel Tower at night with 9 American Airlines flight attendants. A couple of them my friends, but mostly I didn't invite all my friends just because who do you leave out, right? Because after 36 years, we have a lot of friends. We had a wonderful time. I think you'll enjoy the video if you go look at it. It's kind of corny, but it is what it is. Anyway, I'll come back on here as we get to the top of descent. Right now we're at 24 minutes. Try to keep this around 30 minutes. Oh, lest we forget, I did set the landing attitude here of 400 feet or so. very important on the, it's kind of a manual landing system. For a sophisticated airplane, you need to set that landing about halfway over. So you set takeoff for takeoff, the elevation, and for about halfway there you set landing elevation as part of your brief. We had an incident on the Airbus in Miami where the aircraft was not completely depressurized. I'm not saying the guys didn't do this at all, guys, but when the door was open, the flight attendant was sucked out the door onto the ramp and died. So that looks like it's a minor thing, but if you get that differential pretty close, but not close enough, when you open that door, there'll be an outward motion, a sucking motion, and the flight attendant was killed out the ramp, going out the door. They were actually trying to blow the door or some sort of, I think it was an evacuation situation at the gate or something, and the airplane was not depressurized. So that wasn't good. I'm sorry I don't have more clear details on that one. Kind of a couple of things about the development process. Like, I'm looking around here, and I'm involved, as I mentioned, with the TFDI MD-11 being developed, and we're writing up every little item on a thing called GitHub. That's where you write up items. You guys who are in the tech world probably know about it. But there's all sorts of little things. This airplane's out there. It's great. IniBuilds, I think it's $40 or whatever it is. It's a great product. But there's all sorts of glitches, all sorts of funky little things that happen. Just because an airplane comes out of production in the simulator world does not mean it isn't constantly in a state of repair, constantly being tweaked, constantly new errors pop up where there's a team of people looking for them. You can write their website and let them know, or they'll give you access to their GitHub. That'll be great, but you'll see flickering things, or throttle's not working, or the airplane crashing on you, all sorts of things. It doesn't end. It never ends. So one of the key things when you develop a product, at what point do you release it? That's a decision. In my opinion, the MD-11 on TFDI is ready for release now. The P3D end of it, that product probably isn't. It's a wonderful product, but it's glitchy. It's got 500 items they cleared, 320 they won't. It'll probably never get below 200 because there'll always be new things. And when they tweak one thing, a new thing comes out. To TFDI's credit, they have stopped the project for a week or two, and they're going to redo the auto flight stuff. The flight model itself, the flight dynamics, is great. This one is too. It's the profile descent, in their case, or the LNAV or the VNAV descent in other airplanes needs to be tweaked. I don't know what this one's like. I haven't flown it very much, but what a process! What a slog through mud these processes are. You develop a product, it looks great, it comes out, it gets high reviews, then it starts getting glitchy. And you're trying to make money. You've already sold the product, so you've got maintenance going on, and your software engineers, it's like I'm looking at this bug jumping around here. That'd be a bug. At what point do you say we're no longer supporting that product? Well, then guys like you and I are left with all the glitches. It's a constant support. It is a tremendous undertaking to try to develop this, especially at the study level, right? To me, study level means if I'm flying this airplane in real life on the line, if I flew this simulator, it would help me prepare for my recurrent training. That's study level. The PMDG 777 was like that. I could actually help me prepare for my recurrent training. I could fly 9 ILSs, engine outs, any kind of emergency I could imagine. I could program in that, and I never was better prepared than I was flying the P3D PMDG 777 for recurrent training. The MD-11, will that be the same type of an airplane when TFDI developed it? Maybe. Is this that kind of airplane? Yeah, I would say I haven't explored it enough, but if you can do engine failures or non-ILSs in it, then it is. It's a good training aid. Because remember, we're on the line, we're flying straight and level, radar vectors, ILS final, generally. Very little visual, very little non-ILSs, almost no RNAVs, you know, no engine outs, obviously. A study level would be an airframe that truly helps you prepared for recurrent. That's what I would define study level as. It's never perfect, always glitches, forever and ever and ever. And so when a company, let's say Jeff Richards 777 decides we're no longer supporting it, it's basically the end of the product. It's going to be glitchy therefore going forward. However, the more they tweak it, the more issues there become. So they say, oh yeah, we're going to fix that airspeed indicator glitch. Well, they do that, and all of a sudden the auto throttles don't work. You know, it's back and forth. Like I'm looking here. I'm in profile. I have the auto throttles on. I want you to watch something. I'm going to move my throttle lever. And it's not doing anything. Earlier, it was the N1s were moving, even though I had the auto throttles on and profile on. So, yeah. Anyway, that's my little soapbox on that stuff. But I've gained a tremendous amount of respect for these developers as a result of being on the quality assurance team. There's a top of descent. I've got 17 set in here. The reason I have 17 set in here is because that's our first altitude. That's a hard altitude. Actually, it's minus 24. I'm not going to bother with that. Minus 24, minus 19. Hard 17 at Bannock's. We'll see how it does. And I've got 280 at Bannock's. So I'm going to let it go down in profile descent and see how it does. Funny thing is, the LNAV, VNAV, and Boeing's on the MD-11 and the early Airbuses, it was profile descent. The keystrokes were very similar on the FMS, and the phraseology very similar between the McDonnell Douglas products and the Airbus of this generation. No longer are they like that, but very similar. The keystrokes on the box are very similar. It was state of the art at the time. MD-11, which came out in 1996, it started development. First delivered 1991. This 300-600, which was really the 310 stretch, 1983 or so. Two-man cockpit. They were both around the same time, state of the art. Both of them kind of stiff wing. The composite wing really started with the 777 A330, where you can get more flex in the wing, more dihedral stuff, generate more lift. The wing was no longer the limiting factor. Sometimes the engines became the limiting factor. All right, very curious to see, yeah, it starts down at the top of descent point here, or what I have to do. Interesting, it says the vertical nav are above it, but there's the top of descent. Will it start down? I'm sorry guys, I'm not familiar with it. Haven't done it in a long time. No, let me push it again. Yep, that's what it takes. You got to push it again to join it. Okay. I have to study up more on that. So you're along for the ride with me. So I hope you're enjoying it. Please don't forget to subscribe, like the video, join the Discord, become part of our community. I'm back and forth between TFDI, the MD-11, 777. I'll have all sorts of updates there. I'm operating under Non-Disclosure Act, so I really can't tell you much other than it's going to be two fine products. I'm sure of that, as is this one, which is wonderful. I wonder how many of these will be sold, the 300-600 with IniBuilds, because really, the A310 is a common type rating with this. Same airplane. The cool thing about this one is all the cargo stuff you can do with it. The MD-11 is coming out. That has a cargo version, mostly since that's what it's flying. This one can do all sorts of cool loads, as you know. with race cars and things like that. It has that going on. So will people want to buy this for 40 US, 30 something euro if they already could get the A310 for free? It depends. It depends what kind of immersion they like. Are they cargo guys? Do they like the immersion of the having certain cargo loads in the back? Let me see that. I actually haven't looked at that at all. How do you get to that? Nope, that's not it. My flight. No. Settings. Yeah, I don't actually know how to do that. I'll have to look that up too. I gotta calibrate my throttles too for this airplane. Very cool. Yeah, I'll have to look that up, guys. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with it really. Just proving to you how ignorant I am on a lot of this stuff. All right, so the triangle is kind of hanging in there. It's visible. It used to be a Prague page 4. Prague. It says we're 2,000 above. Coming down 1900. 18. So it looks like it's coming down nicely. 1830. And no problem. We'll just leave it. We'll see how it does. This video right now we're at 37 minutes. We're probably going to end up more like 45, and then I'll change over to the approach phase, all the way to shutdown. Probably around 7,000 feet. Yeah, so you're learning with me. I hope it helps. I hope it's fun for you. Got a lot of good information in here, don't we? I didn't brief the transition altitude, which would come off the ATIS, weather, LFPG, ATIS. No, nothing. Tab. It's going to be altimeter 020, so definitely 09. They're not going to give us any help there. There's no VATSIM going on. So, MEDAR 030 minus 1, 1026 is the altimeter. So we can go with what's on the approach plate for the climb out. We'll just use that. Charts, approach, 9 left. Transition altitude is 5,000. We'll use 6,000 on the descent for our transition level, since we're not being no adult supervision, right? More drag. It wants more drag because it's trying to slow to 250 at that point, so I'll give it a little speed brake. See how we're doing? Only 900 feet above the target. That's on Prague, guys. Can help it even a little more if I go all the way out on the speed brake, fully extended. We'll see if it can catch up with the profile descent. Out of 18, lights are all, put all lights on. Let me go here so you can see it. Load it. Usually, most airlines do it out of 10. American Airlines did it out of 18. The Airbuses usually did it out of 10 because some of their wing lights on the modern airplanes are actually extended on the wing and cause drag. Super 80 was like that. You could get an extra 100 feet per minute on the descent by putting out the landing lights. So that's why I think the A320s wait until 10,000 instead of 18 with American. Catching up nicely in the profile descent. You can see that we got Bannex at 17 and 280. Want NERKI below 19. We're below 19. There's 17, right, at Bannock's. So it's stopping at 17. Just doing a nice job. We can put the speed brakes back up. It was hustling to get down to 17 there. I think for a point of reference, we should do this. We should go fix, progress, bearing and distance 2, LF, PO. How about LFPG, right guys? LFPG, 52 miles. We're at 17,000 feet. Why don't we go on down? Because that's not going to make it. And then a 6, level change, 250, and away we go. We're going to say Bannock's at 17 was met. I don't feel like flying around here a lot. And why don't we just go direct. To take a look at the approach. The CF at 4,000. Direct to CF. There. Insert. Direct to CF. Put 4,000 in the window. And I'm going to get the heading slewed around. Get this bug up here. Let it catch up. 33 miles, 15th, that's the CF. Looking good. I'll give it a little speed brake, help it get down a little sooner. All right, so we're going to stop this one. And we'll call this the takeoff approach, and we'll do the landing from here on out, okay?